guys? Thank you for listening to the Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh. Today is September 26th. The Bucs may have successfully played spoiler this weekend in Cincinnati, but dropped the last one. Let's talk about it.
Friday is Hawaiian shirt day. So, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Good morning to all who listen in the morning.
It is a good morning there, little man.
Good afternoon and evening to everybody else. Pirates lost the last game of the series. Nick Lodolo was ridiculous. In this game, he had 27 whiffs. That is one part Nick Lodolo was very good, and one part the Pirates have been kind of doing this all year, and we're kind of used to it. Day game yesterday, so the evening off and the whole 9 yards. Fantastic outing from a really good pitcher, Nick Lodolo. I've always liked Nick Lodolo. Pirates drafted him first. He didn't sign. He went to college. It was a bummer. Reds end up getting him. And then he shows up. He's had some injury issues, but when he's on, man, he's a super solid pitcher, and he showed that off yesterday afternoon. And really pitched like a dude who knew his team needed to get a dub bad. And they got it because of him, largely because of him. Braxton Ashcraft on our side was not terrible either. He did get 8 hits against him in his 4 1/3, 2 runs, both of them coming in the 5th when it looked like he just kind of ran out of gas a little bit. And a few hard hits against him and ends up getting pulled out of the game. Sorry, I was checking because the Mariners have a big lead. Suarez has homered. But Cal Raleigh just struck out. And so I'm following this game. It's the 6th inning. I don't have it on tonight, but I am kind of following along, and I got distracted. Cal Raleigh, 60 home runs. Just wild. Seeing if he can do any more. 0 for 3 tonight. So, but they are winning. They've already got the division. We're going to talk more about that kind of stuff. Let's get back to Braxton Ashcraft. Squirrel. He was good. 5 strikeouts for Ashcraft. Finished his season with a 2.71 ERA, 2.16 as a starter, and 3.22 as a reliever. I think 8 or 9 starts. I think 8. Extremely strong as a starter. And I've talked about that, right? We talked about that on Sunday's show. I think it was just this past Sunday about the fact that they've handled these guys the way that they have to set them up for success, and that's all fine. But I'm actually looking forward to the offseason speculations of who's going to be in this starting rotation. And I'm telling you, Braxton Ashcraft is 100% in the mix right now. I mean, this is a guy who 2.16 as a starter. He's going to be asked to go a little bit deeper in the games next year, but that's good. That's what these guys need. And it's not his job, right? But he's got to be a front runner. We have to all agree on that. This guy is possibly, maybe had the second best season. 2.16 surely when you talk about the starter, but when you talk about just the body of work in the major leagues this season, did he not have the second best season of all the starting pitchers? This guy he's the real deal. Really exciting. The Pirates' loss, however, gave them their 90th loss of the season. A number that I thought was possible, but did not think that they would get there. I really didn't. And I think a lot of you, if you were serious and you weren't just mad, you probably thought that 90 was going to be pretty tough. 100 was out of the questions. And we have a bunch of people saying, no, I thought they were going to lose 100, yada, yada. Those guys are just mad. I can't imagine looking at this roster that you were looking at a 100 loss team. So Certainly not with this pitching staff. And I tell you what, Andrew Heaney did his darndest to try to make sure it happened. The offense and their lack of home runs and scoring runs, they tried hard to lose 100 games. Obviously, there's some sarcasm there, but the point is as bad as they were, they still weren't going to get to that spot. But 90 was in reach if they had a really bad season, and they did exactly that, or they've done exactly that. Obviously, it's not over. And they're about to run into what most people consider a red-hot Braves team who'd won 10 straight before losing their game Wednesday. When I looked at it, I kind of looked. They left August losing a series of Philly, which is a really good team. They lost that series. They started the month against the Cubs. They lost that series. And then they played Seattle and Chicago again and Houston and lost those series. And then they swept Washington Nationals, who have a worse record than the Pirates. And then Detroit, who is falling apart. And then they took the series against Washington, with Wednesday being the only game that Washington won. So this little hot streak they're on is 6 games against Washington, winning 5 of 6, and beating a Detroit team that is spiraling right now. Then again, the Pirates are a team they should beat as well, so it's hard to tell where that ends up this weekend. But they're winning games. They're all major league teams, and they're winning games, so it counts for something. It doesn't matter who you're beating when you're winning. We're down to 3 games left in the season for everyone. The only division race is not decided is the AL East and the AL Central. The Yankees and Blue Jays are deadlocked at 91 and 68. Both teams are playing at home. They're already clinched, right? They're already clinched, but the loser will get a wild card here. Toronto plays Tampa Bay. The Yankees play Baltimore Orioles. So both teams set up to win. It's going to be a matter of who comes out on top. The Blue Jays do own the tiebreaker here. So if all things are equal, it'll be the Blue Jays. The Guardians and the Tigers are deadlocked at the AL Central at 86 and 73. And this has been an interesting conversation. Is this more of a collapse by Detroit or a comeback by Cleveland? Leave a comment down below if you're on YouTube. Leave a comment down below what you think it is. But before you comment, I'll share my thoughts and then see where you land on this. But I want these things to be considered. I'm going collapse. If only for one reason. If Detroit was just 10 and 11 this month instead of 6 and 15, they'd have this thing clinched already. You know what I'm saying? If their worst month was July, and it's in my notes here. I'm sure I'll get to it here. And if they just would have done that, they would need one win to clinch. So you could say Cleveland, if they get into the postseason, and we're going to go over some of those scenarios, then that can be a comeback in and of itself. But Detroit in general, if they lose this and they fall out, it's all about the collapse. In September, they lost a series that were Tigers here, right? They lost a series to the White Sox, somehow took a series from the Yankees, but then they lost a series to the Marlins. And then here's where it flips and you give credit to Cleveland here. Got swept by Cleveland, then got swept by Atlanta, then lost the series. Actually, they didn't finish. They did win the last one against Cleveland to bring it back to a tie. Even late in August, they were swept by the A's. This has been going on. The Tigers had a 15-game lead in the division at one point this season. And no team has ever blown a 15-game lead, having a 15-game lead at any point in the season. No team has ever blown the division with a 15-game lead or even missed the playoffs, but even blown the division. It hasn't happened, and Detroit's about to do it. Now, remember, last year it was a big comeback. This year, it's a big collapse. Cleveland, though, is 18-6 in September. So they are surging. This is their best month. They beat Tampa Bay. Kansas City, who's hovering around 500. Tampa Bay's under. They swept Detroit. There's where your kudos come in. They swept Minnesota, who's not good. And then they took the series from Detroit again. All of these are favorable series to play, except that Detroit series where both teams had an opportunity to just shut this thing down. Cleveland wins 5 of 6 in the month of September against Detroit. If Detroit just wins half of those, this whole thing's over. Even with all other things combined. The road hasn't been too difficult for either team, but Detroit has at least had to play the Yankees. Cleveland got to play teams under 500 and divisional teams the whole time. Now, like I said earlier, these are all major league teams. Kudos for winning those games and winning 5 of 6 from Detroit this month. But you have to beat those teams in order to put yourself into this position. So I don't want to take that away from Cleveland. But even if they do that, if they split with Detroit, or if Detroit just doesn't get swept in a couple of those, then Cleveland just is playing for a wild card spot right now. Detroit should still have the division and Cleveland should be duking it out. I mean, they'd still be in position. I mean, it depends on those games against Detroit. Let's say they still take 5 of 6 from Detroit, but Detroit doesn't blow the rest of it. Detroit still has the division and Cleveland's playing for that wild card spot. All Detroit needed to do was to go 2 games under 500 and the division would already be over. In July, they were 11-14, the only month that they were under 500 this season. That would have gotten it done. I think they would still need 1 win, but that would have gotten it done. Had any of those extra wins come against Cleveland, I think it would be over. I think they would already have it clinched. When they played the Pirates earlier this season, they had the best record in baseball. So yeah, to me, it's the collapse more than the comeback. If I'm a Guardians fan, though, my opinion would be different, and I would absolutely hold on to that. So if there's anybody here as friends that are Guardians fans, or you're a Guardians fan as well as a Pirates fan somehow, you should still, I mean, they still had to go 18-6. They still had to take 5 of 6 from Detroit. So a lot of credit goes to Cleveland here, but you get what I'm saying here. That's my take. It's more about the collapse. Cleveland gets to play Texas this weekend, who's lost 9 of their last 10. Detroit has to play Boston, a team who's only 1 game better than the Tigers, and if they get swept, they don't make it, so Boston's playing for their postseason hopes. Getting into that wild card, Detroit is currently in. They're 1 game over the Astros, who get to play the Angels as well. So that AL Central loser, plus Boston, plus Houston situation should be really exciting this weekend. Houston has to feel good about having the Angels and those 2 teams, Boston and Detroit, playing each other. If one can cancel another one out, Houston finds its way in. But it's really exciting. If Detroit, it's possible that Cleveland's also there ahead of Houston still too. So there's a lot of games to watch there. In the NL, the race is essentially down to how the Reds fare against Milwaukee and how the Mets do against Miami. This heavily favors the Mets, you would think, getting to play Miami. But in Miami, though, and I feel like I've seen this movie before, and I've heard a couple people bring this up, but I validated by looking this up. 2007, September 23rd, the Mets had a 2.5 game lead in the division, got swept by the Nationals, lost a makeup game to the Cardinals, and woke up Friday morning with 3 games left, tied for the division. They woke up on Sunday morning for game 163, tied for the division. Tom Glavine on the mound against the Marlins. Series tied at 1. Philly beat Washington, and the Marlins beat the Mets, and they missed the postseason. The Mets spent 140 days in first place that season. The very next year, 2008, it was Thursday the 25th. They woke up hosting the Marlins again Friday morning. I said Thursday. It was Friday morning, right? Tied with the Brewers for that wild card spot. Both teams split the first two games. The Brewers against Chicago, the Mets against Miami again. Waking up for game 162, tied for the wild card, and only the Marlins in the way. Oliver Perez taking the mound for the Mets. When he left the game, it was tied. But in the eighth inning, Wes Helms homers, Dan Uggla homers, and the Mets lose and miss the playoffs again. So Mets fans do not want to be playing the Marlins right now. I guarantee that. The players probably don't care. It was 2007 and 2008. Mets fans do not want this. That's a guarantee. Their saving grace is that the Reds have Milwaukee, who still need a win to lock up the 1 seed. Sleepers, the Diamondbacks are 2 games back. They're technically not out yet, but a lot would have to happen. Basically, they can't move. I can't wait for all this. It's really exciting. I can't wait. Here's where we get all crazy. I can't wait till the Pirates are involved in this stuff again someday. I don't know. For now, Ken Rosenthal reported that Ben Cherington's contract goes through 2027, which has been a big secret for a long time. I think there was a lot of speculation, but I don't remember if I've heard that. If I did, I've forgotten it. So how do you feel about Bob Nutting?
Dang it, Bobby.
Firing Ben Cherington this Monday, when you realize that Bob will have to pay Ben and a new GM for the next 2 years?
Enough! Do you want my head to explode? In the name of all that is good and decent, no more for today!
Mitch Keller goes opposite Joey Wentz tonight. Didn't see that coming, did you? Bubba Chandler starts Saturday against Spencer Strider. Johan Oviedo will get the finale on Sunday against former Bucco Charlie Morton, who might be starting his last game ever. He's like 89, I think. But this is it, my friends. The last 3 games of the season. I wish I could say I was optimistic about them. I don't know what to expect. I would think that these starters are going to want to finish strong. But I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So,
It's finally
if you
Friday.
Want to go ahead and
You wear a Hawaiian
wear a
shirt,
Hawaiian
and
shirt
jeans.
and jeans.
It's finally the end of the week. It's finally the end of a very frustrating season. One that we will want to forget, I'm sure. But for 3 more days, I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm going to cherish watching the last 3 games, knowing that it's going to be 5 months until I get to see games again. Pirates games. Obviously, I'll watch the postseason. But no matter how bad this team is, baseball is a stress reliever for me. It's balance. It's routine. I think balance is really a good word for it. Just things are just normal. And then when it's not baseball season, it's not normal. And I'll be fine through the postseason, obviously. But it's, going through the winter it just knocks me off my routine. I'll have to find a way to shift energy to something else, I guess. And well, here's the deal. We'll be here all off season together. I hope you'll stick around with me and keep me company all winter. Jake will be here on Fridays. We're going to be doing the whole thing. So Or I'm sorry, I said Fridays, Sundays. We're not going to stop that. We're not going to stop that. Sunday live shows. Let's do it. Anyway, have a great weekend, guys. Let's hang out on YouTube Sunday night for that live stream. 9 p.m. usually. It's been at 9 p.m. for quite a while, so I'll see you at 9 Sunday night when the season is completely over and we can talk about all that happened. Let's go, Bucs.
Thanks for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Subscribing to your platform of choice is the best way to be notified for new episodes. And now, new episodes every weekday. Remember, live shows with my dad and Uncle Jake are Sundays at 9 p.m. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and join them in the live chat every Sunday. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2 Buctober. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucs.
Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.